Hello and welcome to the next episode of Making Mannequin Heads into Planters. Hooray! So, like, subscribe, tell all your friends. I'm using up the end of my batch of SculptCrete that I used last time in the last episode, and I jumped right into this episode from that one because I want to, as you know, we're on a time crunch. So SculptCrete works like clay, hardens like concrete. SculptCrete. Anyway, so there's my ad. I've only got a certain amount of time to be able to work in this. It's still staying, because I did make it pretty wet, still staying rather nicely workable. And so I'm going to continue applying the ribs that I'm working on, or the ridges, the spiral ridges that I'm working into. I'm going to spray a little bit more because this is drying out significantly, which is good, but I want it to be able to stick. That I'm putting on this mannequin head. It was a foam head that I just finished doing a base coat cover of full coverage of all the foam on the outside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do in this episode, it's going to be a short one because the last one was super long. I lost track of time. Imagine that while I'm doing art and I lose track of time. Everybody always gives me crap about, I get in the zone and I lose track. Well, it's a total artist thing. You get zoned in your head, and I start talking and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, last episode was 45 minutes. Egads! So I apologize for how long that one was, but we had a nice conversation with ourselves. Yes, we did. Anyway, so here we go. I'm going to push this up because I do want it to come up at an angle that makes sense. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the rest of this, the final amount of this, because I've got some still in here, if you can see that. And we're going to I want to seal, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Look what I just did. The inside of the head is what at the end of that sentence was going to be. I kind of am digging that. What if it just comes up and then... Hey, here's an idea, guys. Look at this. So what if, so I was going to do full spirals, right, and then join it. What if it just ends? Comes up and ends. I am kind of loving that. It's got to continue the movement, so my shaping has to be right. And the thickness of it has to be right for it to make sense and to relate to the others. It's like, how sharp is the edge? Some areas it's real sharp, in other areas it's a little bit softer. But look at there. I like that. That's cool. All right, so it's going to come up and it's going to end there. Don't overwork it, Patrick. Just let it be what it is. All right, and then I'm going to do another one that's coming up from here. So I've got my full spirals that I've done that are nice and twisty spirals. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a snake, what I call a snake. So it's, rolling a log of it. And then I apply it, squidge it down with my fingers, smooth it down with my fingers. And this one's going to do the same thing. I'm going to be running out of time to work with this stuff, so I got to use it while I can. But this one I'm going to do at a different angle. Now that I'm inspired to do this interesting ending of the spirals. Bring it up and then end it further. This one I'm going to go all the way up here. That's my goal. So I want to change this angle for it to sort of feel like it's wanting to converge but not converge or merge. There we go. But I definitely don't want to... I'm not a straight lines person. I just, for some reason, those hard lines are not my jam. So stuff that I do, I like to have it to have flow. I like to have it to have motion, a feeling of motion, and a feeling of implied direction. Those are some heavy thoughts there, but that is truly what I actually enjoy doing. So this one definitely ended, which I like. And this one's going to come up and it's going to end. I like it that it's in front and that it's doing this, which is pretty cool. Ooh, it sounds like Lee is home. And I'm going to keep on going with this just to end it up here. And then while I'm still able to use this and it's still not set up, I'm going to bring it right in. Hi.
Hi.
And everybody say hello to Lee.
Hi.
Hi. And so I'm going to bring this in through here and make this a ridge that comes up and terminates right there. I'm the Terminator. The termination of it. And that way when it comes down here, they diverge. Oh, that's cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Total mistake. Not a mistake, just a learning experience. So that's cool. Now I just want to finesse this a little bit so it makes complete sense as it comes up and ends at a point that feels balanced. Yeah, that feels balanced. I like it that it's going a different direction, that it's got more of a sharper curve coming up. So it feels more organic than samey. It can't be too regular, I guess you could say, or consistent. I mean, it could be if I wanted it to be, but I don't want it to be mechanical. I want it to be organic. There's that one. So I want to do one more of those, and probably off the front here to come right up through here. And let's get this going. It's nice and wet to be able to apply to. This one's going to be a shorter one. Stabilize my head. Bring it, pull it right in. And bring it right up. Draw it right up. This is giving more of a ridge because I've applied it a little heavier. It's kind of cool because it isn't just applied onto it, it's becoming part of it. The base, it's got an undulation going now. Bring this around, draw this up. This one's not going to go terribly far. Grab more out of here. Yeah, it needs to be worked because it is setting up. Now what I want to make sure that is if I have any of this left over in there, I do not want to leave it in the container because I will then throw away the container. I want to get more uses out of this container because the container has been a good thing. So I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to have it totally parallel the others. I'm going to have it as if it started growing and paralleling and then ended up moving differently or growing differently so that it came up and through. There we go, that's cool. I like it a lot. There we go. So that's cool. That makes me happy. Oh, and it's really shaping up interestingly. So when I was looking at, I was saying in the last episode, it's like, where did I come up with this weird, like off the cuff or off the rails way of doing this, of doing the spiral? I was inspired when I was looking at the head. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That works really well for me. If I draw a line down it, it'll smooth them out enough so that they feel like they're actually not just splooged on. There we go. Now that they're dry enough, I can actually do that. Let's try this. Draw it right up. That helps. Draw it right down and up. Good. That makes it feel better. Smoother. I was talking about the, it's like, where did this inspiration come from or whatever. I was looking at the long neck and I just was like, oh, it just feels like it needs a spiral of some sort, or that it's like twisted. And that was where it got me. I was like, ooh, twisted. How do you make something look twisted? Well, that flow, that sort of direction can be created by applying it this way. So as I look at it from the front, I want to change this just a little bit so that it has the same feeling as the other sections. that have so much movement. This one I'm gonna revise a little bit. I know I was gonna leave it there, but I'm actually going higher with it. It doesn't seem to terminate where I want it to go. And I'm gonna twist it. I'm gonna turn it even more. I don't want it to go vertical because that's too contrived. Come on, stay with me. Don't be moving too much. There we go. I don't want it to come up. There we go. Follow the same line right up. There we go. That's better. Yeah, I like that better actually. Now I'm gonna have to stop working on this because it's starting to get gritty. It's losing its malleability. I don't know if that's a word, but it seems like it should be. There we go. Oh, that's good. All right, I'm happy with that. So that's cool. Me likey a lot. Let's get a sharper edge with that corner. That's all I can work on that. That's going to start crumbling. Oh, come on, just blend in a little bit more. There. All right. Cool. How does it look on the back? Yep. Oh, the back looks good. Oh, I like that. It seems consistent all the way around. Yes, I heard myself say it. And that's good. Now, I don't have any on the face, which is cool. This one goes down and around the ear. I am going to actually emphasize this ear some. I'm going to make a little snake. Give it, create an ear right in there. You can see it starting to crumble a little bit. Bring it in around. Oh, you know what? It needs to be wet. It's not going to stick if it's not wet. Let's get some of this. Yeah, it's setting up. So I did find in previous episodes that if you work it a little bit, you'll feel like, oop, there it goes. You'll feel like it's resisting, and then smooth, softer. And that's what I want. It comes back to its sort of smooth, soft plasticity. And that's what I like working with. It feels suddenly like clay, like real clay. So there we go, right up and around. I don't know why I'm saying it that way today, but I am, so I'm gonna stay with it. I'm gonna stick this on here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that my ears are not like, this one's gigantic and that one's little teeny. These are pretty consistent. This is actually, I already know, thicker than the other one, but that's okay. Because are you going to be able to see them both at the same time? Outside, because where are these going to be? Outside. As long as it's a shape that I like, it seems to make sense. And give it that similar little earlobe that I have on the other one. Kind of like a little bulby earlobe on the bottom. Little detached earlobe. Bring it up from the top. Check it out compared to the other one. The other one's thinner, lighter. This one's a little bulkier, kind of like it. Yeah, this one's definitely thinner and lighter. Let's bulk this one up, but just a little. I'm going to build on the back side of it. Add to the thickness of it just to give it a little bit more weight. This works just fine. Pinch it right together. And what it's going to do is it's also going to just stabilize that ear more too, in case it does in the wind or whatever fall over. It's not going to just chop the ear right off. So, but then I want to get the correct shape on the inside as well as on the outside, not too sharp of a line. Soften that. Comes down in the front. I'm not doing all the little squigglies that we have on the inside. And everybody's ears are different, which is kind of nice. There's no two ears alike. So even on your own head, I know that the flap goes like out, away from the head. So there we go, under, do it under a little bit. And that's good, I like it. And that's good enough for what I want to do. I'm going to match that up a little bit more on the other side, just so that, oh, actually that's a pretty nice ear. A little less rough. I do want this one to be a little bit softer in its lines. So let's bring that, wow, there we go, that's good. That worked really well. Loop, loop, loop. What's funny is this is now the smaller ear. And get all this right in there. There. I like that ear too. Well, looky there, ears. All right, so that's where it's at, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm going to, oh gosh, big old chunk. I'm going to cement the inside with the rest of this SculptCrete. And that will be the end. Oh gosh, it's really setting up. I think I got to it now. I'm going to take it out because I don't want it ruining the container, as I mentioned. I want to be able to reuse this. So it does scrape out pretty well, but I have a feeling if I leave it too much, it's just going to be unusable, the container will. So if I use my squidgy like I would with clay, what the heck did I do there? And I'm not going to tilt the head, but you know what? I'm going to use this in another head because I can always do that. I don't want to mess up what I've got there. So let's do this on the inside of this one. I'm going to, or actually let's completely finish our other guy. Oh, he's heavy. I love him. So the merman, I don't need a lot on the inside. I'm going to flatten this out and then I'm just going to apply it to the inside. I am going to spray, just hoping that it's going to help a little bit with getting it to stick quickly and easily. And let's go ahead and just stick it in there, smush it down, and get a not terribly heavy but solid, consistent coating coverage on the inside of the head. And that's going very well. The water does help. I'm gonna try to make this really go as far as I can. So I'm gonna do very thin coats wherever I can. There we go. Just trying to figure out how to get them in a place where I can put some pressure on him. He's got a cement face. He's completely covered with the cement and is fully dried for about a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe now. And so I'm not really worried about pushing, giving it some good weight to push it into all those little nubbins. And it seems to be doing all right, sticking wise. Give it a little bit more water, help it out. There we go. Use this piece, flatten it out. Get on the other side of them. Flip them over. I don't need to get all the way down in, but I do want to squish it on the inside here, just to use up the rest of it consistently. Don't let your stuff go to waste. Not when you paid money for it. And it's not like you can reclaim it or like you can with clay or reconstitute it or anything like that. Reuse it. It is cement. When it's done, right? So be smart using your materials and use them up. So I told you a long time ago about what the concept that an artist who is a teacher of my husband's, of Lee's, told him, and it's kind of like an aha, oh my God moment. I never thought of that. So he was taking a printmaking class from her, and they were making their own papers, and she made a statement that really resonated with him, and it really resonated with me. And she said, well, use your leftover paint when you paint to create your own papers. All right, why did that never occur to me? So you've got all this leftover paint when you're painting and you're doing printmaking, and you're rolling and you've got ink and all this other stuff. You've got this color pigments of some sort, and you've got it left over, and you're like, done. And then you've got, it's like, well, what the hell do I do now with the paint that I have left over? How do I like use it? So he does not want to lay down very well. Well, she's like, get paper, like regular paper, and make your own papers. Use that paint, just apply it wildly, and combine, colors however you want. Let them dry, and then use them in. So he does like collage stuff with paper, and use them in future projects. Have them as part of, instead of buying paper constantly, you've now made your own materials to work with in the future. And I was like, dun, 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 brilliant, brilliant woman. Yeah, I'm just like, oh my God, what such like a great idea of not to waste materials. And I don't know where that was born out of necessity, like if she was teaching in a school or something, or she ran out of stuff and she's like, well, I'll just make my own, which I love that idea. I just love that whole approach and that thought of, well, screw that. If I don't have it, I'll make it, because that's totally my approach to life. Because people are like, well, where did you get that? I'm like, well, I made it. And they're like, wait, you what? Apparently people don't make things anymore. Or it's a little weird that you do, because I get that reaction a lot. Like our aprons for clay. I found a great pattern for a crossover apron because I can't stand having that strap around my neck. Remember I talked about this earlier, and Terry was like, yeah, I'm gonna make my own. But I found this great crossover apron pattern that I found online that was free. Or maybe I think actually I found it on Etsy, and I was like, all right, whoever designed this is brilliant. I am totally paying for this. And I think I paid like $5. And then I adjusted it. We tried on, template that I made. I draped it and redraped it and redid it for giant men like us. I mean, we're not giants, but we are large compared to the size that it was meant for, which was smaller people. And just recut it and did it out of nice heavy fabrics. But because I was like, well, I don't really know anybody who sells them, and I know I can make them myself. And because if I didn't already have the fabric, of course I would have bought one from somebody that I know who makes them. She does a really beautiful job on them. But I'm like, well, I already have the fabric, so what is it going to actually cost me? A few dollars, and I can make 3 of them. A few dollars for the pattern. And then I have the pattern so that I can make as many as I want in the future. So if I want to use different fabrics, or I ruin one or whatever, then I've got the pattern is the brilliant part, because then I can make as many as I want in the future. And I am self-sufficient to be able to do it instead of relying on somebody else's work. Even though they've got beautiful work, and I was inspired by her work, I'm like, well, I can do that. I can do that. Sort of my attitude for 90% of the things in my world are, well, I think I can do that. And then I try it and I go, ooh, and I never want to do that again. It's kind of like plumbing, house plumbing. I'm like, and I will pay somebody to do that because I don't want to do it. Other things, I'm like, yeah, I can do that, sure. I'll read up on it and learn from the experts online, and because they've been brilliant enough and nice enough to share their expertise, and bada bing, bada boom. There we go. All done. And I used up the rest of the SculptCrete on the inside, and this one is complete. I don't think I'm going to do anything more on him. I think he's fine and fabulous the way he is. I think he's wacky, he's asymmetrical, completely unbalanced, rough in all the right places, and I'm going to leave him to dry and be 100% done. I'll put a pot, so the way I'm going to use him probably is I'm going to actually, instead of putting a plant directly in him, I'll put a pot in there that has a plant in it, and that will do it. So join me for the next episode, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Put the love out there. There's not enough love in the world, and those gloves are shot. And look at that, empty. There's not enough love in the world. Treat yourself well. We are very hard on ourselves. I say it every time, I mean it. It doesn't hurt to hear it again. Give yourself lots of space, lots of room. Remember, if somebody says something and it triggers you, and I hate the word trigger to a certain point, but it really actually is a good word when it comes to that, because it feels like, something's happened, right? Take a big breath. And now react. Hard to do, easy to say, easy to do right here. Hard to do in the circumstance, but the more you do it, the more frequently you do it, the more you'll find yourself not just reacting and potentially harming yourself or saying something to harm somebody else just because you're in a reactionary space or whatever, in a reactive space. And that you can actually sit there and refocus, recenter, and then reconsider. Where are you coming from? Why are you coming from that place? Is it your stuff? Is it the other people's stuff? So anyway, I encourage you to always continue to grow and enjoy the growth. And have a great day. All right.